The story begins with our protagonist, who just woke up in the game he used to play, but the problem was that he was awakened in the game as the avatar he created, which was all piles of bones. Which means that if he shows his appearance to those normal folks, they will try to exorcise him, thinking he's a demon. But the plus point was that he had all the upgrades and stats of his avatar, which was a holy knight and a subcategory of a priest. With it, he could also use magic and have his legendary shield and sword. So taking his chance for survival in this new world, Ark decided to become a mercenary to earn a living there. But the criteria to obtain a mercenary license was to get rid of a monster, bandit, or maybe a beast. Killing one of the three, and Ark can be a mercenary, so leaving to complete the task. So to the job at hand, Ark left to complete his task to become a mercenary, but then he saw a group of bandits trying to rape a girl and her maid. So he jumped in and slayed each and every one of those bandits mercilessly. The girl is the daughter of the lord named Louviert, her name is Lauren Louviert, and her attendant is Rita, so, just to be safe, Ark accompanied them to the town to avoid any more of the danger. So then, at the end of the day, Ark completed his task, brought back 3 of the monster, bandit, and beast as proof, and obtained a mercenary license. And the first job that he picks is to accompany a girl named Marka as her bodyguard to the forest as she searches for medicinal herbs. Ark decided to take this boring job to learn a thing or two about healing herbs and stuff. But there they saw a spirit fox. It was on guard because she was injured, so Ark used his healing magic on her. After that, she sensed that he and Marka posed no threat and even took a liking to Ark and wanted to follow him. Now that Ark got a traveling buddy, he named her Ponta, but then they came across a deadly monster. And yet it took only one swing for Ark to kill that thing and safely return with Marka to the town. But then the scene swifted night, where it took an entire battalion to kill that same kind of monster. But there was one thing in common, they both had a type of ring. And Cinda then took on another bandit slaying job and completed it effortlessly. He found the treasure, but he also noticed a cage, which was a bit odd. And then as he was leaving, Ark got ambushed by a mysterious lady, but she stopped her attack as soon as she saw Ponta. A psychic such as Ponta can sense malice, so if Ponta is with Ark, that means he's a nice guy. So as the air cleared up, she introduced herself as Ariana, an elf, and she was here to free her kidnapped people because elves fetch a high price in the slave market. But she was late as the elf kept there and the cage were already gone, but out of kindness, Aaron offered his help, but her elf pride got in the way as she refused to take help from a human. So what can Ark do? He then got back to his new life and enjoyed his meal like he had nothing to do and had zero problems. But the next day Ark was in search of the elf village, as he was a total otaku when it came to fantasy things, but Ponta sensed something. And Ark saw what Ponta sensed was the elf Ariana was talking about, it was elf trafficking. But as Ark was about to jump in to save them, Ariana beat him to it. She flawlessly started taking out those goons, but Eudoran threatened her with those kids' lives, and Ariana was helpless at that moment as he was trying to take it to his advantage. So this moment hit the bottleneck for Ark, as he jumped in to save those kids' lives and Ariana, and with his help, Ariana saved those kids' lives. There they noticed those morons have placed a cursed thing on their neck. But Ark had his subjob as a priest, so he had the power to exorcise the curse to free them from that cursed thing that was binding their magic. Although Ariana didn't want to admit it, in this moment she realized that she needs some help from time to time. So she hired Ark in order to save her elf kind from slave traders. They traveled to the town of Tiando to meet up with the comrade elf who was on the same mission of saving elf. His name is Donka, another warrior elf from the Maple town. He had his doubts about a human helping them, but once again, Ponta came in handy by showing that Ark is a trustworthy person. He did all the digging to gather info on the missing elf. They were being held in the entertainment area, so they had to take action on Monday night to avoid attention. But at that building, they found those goons dead with a sharp slice on the neck, so 3 of them went on different ways to save time, and Ark stumbled on the one who was killing those goons. A ninja. And she also stopped attacking Ark as soon as she saw Ponta with him, so for an apology, she gave Ark some useful info on elves. Then Ark met up with the others and showed the papers that those Nina had given them, including a list of all those people who were involved in the elf trafficking, and Lord of the Diento town was also involved. So they headed to the basement and freed those missing elves after moving them to a safe point. Ark and Ariana left those kids with Danka and headed to the Lord's castle to free those other elves that were being held captive. They avoided the guards and barged right into the room of the Lord. Where he was about to violate the elf girls, the Lord got what he deserved, and Ark managed to get his hand on a lottery. Now that they have completed their mission to save every elf that was missing, Ariana just invited Ark to visit her village. But in order to enter, he must reveal his face to the elder, and that was the problem, so he warned her that she would draw her sword the moment she saw her face, so to assuage him. Arena vowed that she wouldn't ever harm him. By taking those words, Ark showed her his skeleton face and made up a story that he found himself like this one day when he woke up, probably because of a curse. Then, even after seeing his face, Ariana kept her word and even offered help to lift the curse. Then came the royal family, discussing the involvement of the Lord of Diento into elf trafficking, and Dakars was strongly opposing the blame on the Lord. Which Prince Set took it upon himself to notice that the prince might also be involved in it. But Princess Juliana suggested getting in contact with elves to clear up the tension, which Prince Dakars didn't take to. Then the princess was about to get into contact with the Lord of Limobert because he's the only one who has a trading relationship with the elves. Whereas Ariana and Ark arrive at the elf village, first Ariana goes inside to get the permission of the elder before allowing Ark to enter. It takes some time to get the permission of the elf elder. Then with Ariana, Ark met the elder of the elf village and his wife, Dallin and Glennis, and shockingly, Ariana turns out to be their daughter, which she never even mentioned to Ark even once. So then Dylan offers a piece of information on the pond that was protected by the dragon, which has the ability to cure curses, as a payment for his help in saving even more elves. Ark agreed. Then Dylan and Ariana got to the meeting of the elf superiors on this matter, and they decided to save their kin this way to keep an eye on the Rodent Kingdom to observe how they react. It was the only way to avoid yet another all-out war. Ariana was depressed that the elder didn't take any serious action against the kingdom of Rodhand for enslaving and smuggling elves, so to get her mind off of the thing, Dylan told her that her sister was going to marry soon. She was shocked that her sister, who was basically a fighting maniac, managed to get married. Well, since this news was a shock, they still wanted Ark to help them out in order to find those other elves. So that's it for today's guys. Stay tuned for another part. Until then, subscribe to the channel to get the latest updates.